enjoy the class.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to have some fun with jewelry making together. We are going to be making some wild Vegas cowgirl, disco cowgirl jewelry together. And we're just going to have fun. It's all about sparkles and glitter and disco balls and cowboy hats. And I know that it's wild jewelry, but I'm going to show you some things along the way that you can make this a little more wearable for every day. So you have options. My name is Stephanie Menor. I'm here representing Blue Moon Studio. Let's learn to make some jewelry together. Let's switch to the top-down camera. Take a look at some of our pieces that we're going to be making. These extremely long, I think they call them shoulder dusters. Are these shoulder duster earrings? And they say howdy. I love it. We've got a cute little pink cowboy hat charm up here. So we're going to show you how to make this one and then also show you how to customize it to be a little shorter or to make a shorter phrase or maybe just a monogram, a letter. Then we have this disco ball fabulous necklace. This disc is actually made of clay. So you're getting a twofer in this class. You're going to be learning some basics of working with polymer clay and all of the basics of working with UV resin. So UV resin is the star of the show. Let us move this and take a look at what that is. So this is a bottle of UV resin. Every project we're making today uses this. And this is super versatile. You can use it in molds to make a specific shape, which we're going to be doing today. Oh, hit the camera there. Where you can use it in molds, you can use it in a lot of different ways. And some of the ways that we're showing you today, we have never done a class on before. So you're seeing firsthand all of the cool versatility of this product. So it is UV resin. So UV meaning it cures in UV light that comes from the sun. And so this also cures in sunlight. If you don't have sunlight, if you're crafting at night, you're crafting on a cloudy day, you're going to need a UV lamp. So this, you can hit the button, you can see that turns on. This is a 9-watt UV lamp. This is perfect for all of your UV resin crafting needs. We have some other things around here, one of which is a mold. This is a silicone mold. You can see how flexible it is. And this is our alphabet. This is how we're going to be spelling out words. We have some charms. Take a look at these. How cute are these? These pink cowgirl charms. So we're going to be showing you how to incorporate these charms in a few different pieces. We have a bunch of tools off here to the side. We have a drill, this wood stick. We have some basic jewelry tools like pliers. You're going to need those, and some findings to put it all together. Lots of other stuff that I'm going to bring out along the way, but let's get started. So we're going to be working with this mold first. Molds are great to work with UV resin. UV resin does not stick to silicone. So that is what this is. This is silicone. You can see it's clear. This blue thing that you're looking at is also silicone. It is a silicone mat that I use to protect my work surface. And so when you cure the resin, it turns from a liquid into like this plasticky glass-like texture, and it will stick to almost anything. So make sure you are protecting your work surface. If you have sensitive skin, protect your hands as well. You're going to want to put some gloves on. So a lot of the things that you'll see today are silicone, like this mold, like this mixing cup. And let's mix up some resin. So here is my bottle of resin. This is the 60 milliliter bottle that you're looking at. Everything we are using today is available in store at Michaels and Michaels.com. And you want to look for these blue packages in the jewelry making aisle for UV resin craft. And you're going to find everything you need there. Probably some things you don't need because there's so much awesome stuff. But it's a whole section. All of the products are designed to work together to make jewelry. So we have some resin. You see, I poured that directly out of the bottle. it's ready to go. There's no mixing of two parts. You may be familiar with two-part resin. This is not that. We don't need to mix anything in except things that we want. And I want to mix in glitter. So this is some hot pink glitter. And there are so many different things that you can mix into the resin, like confettis and flakes and sand and all sorts of stuff, dried flowers. I'm actually going to mix quite a lot of this in there, maybe a little bit more. So I want this to be semi-opaque. I don't want it to be completely opaque. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, keep a paper towel off to the side so you can wipe off your tools. We just mix that glitter directly in there. You can see the consistency. Now I'm going to bring you guys in just a little bit. And here is where you want to spell out a word. So we are going to spell howdy. And the great thing about this mixing cup is you can squeeze in, it becomes a very fine little funnel there, or you can use your wood stick. And let's find the H. Here we go. So I like to use the wood stick and just drop it, drop by drop. And you'll see it kind of like wants to go into the channel. It's not that hard to fill. Just go slow. And I'm dripping elsewhere on my mold, but that's okay because it's just going to cure in place and I can peel it right off. And I do want to make sure that this mold is filled to the top, and it looks like it is. And let's move on to our next letter. Now, this mold that I'm using is obviously an alphabet mold. So these are tiny, tiny little compartments. Most of the molds that you find have a little bit bigger things like that are making charms or making earrings or pendants. So in terms of little finicky tiny things, this alphabet mold is probably the tiniest one, but you can see it's still easy to work with. I'm just doing it drop by drop. It's dropping in there very easily. And we are going to cure this under UV light as soon as I get these all in there. So as I mentioned, this will cure in sunlight. So in terms of choosing a workspace, you do not want to be working outside or in direct sunlight, like in front of a window on a sunny day, because these will just be curing before you want them to cure. They'll start to get kind of semi-cured in the cup, and then they won't pour out nicely. So make sure you do not have a work area next to a window. And this one I overfilled a little bit. I can lift some of that back out and put it back in my cup. And you'll see each time that I fill one of these little spots, I kind of poke at it a little bit. I just want to make sure that the resin has flowed into any nooks and crannies. And so that there won't be a void in there. Okay, now of course you can do the word of your choice. You can do the color of your choice. That is the great thing about making your own jewelry, especially with UV resin, because you can endlessly customize exactly what you want to your taste. Now we are going to bring this light in. So I hit the button and that turns it on. You see this fits so nicely and perfectly under there. It's almost like it was designed to do that. I think it was. The wonderful folks at Blue Moon Studio designed it that way. So let's talk about cure times. So this is going to be under the lamp for at least 2 minutes. I would say 2 to 3 minutes because I added quite a bit of glitter in there. And, any glitter, any tint, any stuff that you put in there is blocking the light somewhat. It's almost like the light has to work harder to get to all the little nooks and crannies. So you want to increase your cure time depending on what you've put in the resin. If this was just clear, it's probably done in a minute, minute and a half. But the lamp itself runs for 1 minute intervals, and then it will turn off automatically. You have to turn it back on. See, it just turned off, so that went for 1 minute. I'm going to put it in again. I am kind of adjusting where this is because I want to make sure the love gets all over it, and that there are no like dead spots. Okay. So this is basic curing. Now, like I said, you can cure in sunlight, and on a sunny day, it works great. Take it outside and it'll maybe only take about 5 to 10 minutes, okay, outside on a sunny day. But take that with a grain of salt because it depends on where you are in the world, what, month it is, if you're getting full direct sunlight or not. So just try it outside if you can. And usually for me, within about 10 minutes, it was fully cured. But I lived in California, so we got some really primo sun. And usually about this time, we get a question in the chat, which, by the way, if you have any questions, please use the chat function. I'm happy to answer them. And the question is, can you overcure? And the answer is no. I've actually left a mold filled with UV resin outside for a couple days because I forgot about it, and it was just fine. So you can't overcure it. So don't worry about that. All right. So let's see what we have here. That went for a little over 2 minutes. This is what we have. The first thing you'll notice is it might be a little warm. That is a byproduct of the cure process. It does generate a little bit of heat. You can see if I push up on this, I can just pop that right out. And here you have our first letter. And it's not perfect. You see, it has a little bit of extra. We'll fix that up. I'll show you how to do that. Let's get all these out of the mold. And these little extra dots, I can just pick those off, throw those in the trash. All right. So here are our letters. Trying to keep it in focus for you. And now we take a look and see if there are any imperfections. I can see some little extra on this D. So let's see. If you had a little rasp, that would work well. Let's just try with my wood stick. I'm going to try to just kind of lift that up, even just with my fingers. I can kind of clean that up. It's a little harder because it is like on the inside, but I should be able to clean that up, no problem. If it's on the outside, you can take a little emery board and just kind of knock off any little extra bits. Okay, how are we doing? This W, you can see that W has a little extra bit on that side there. And now it doesn't anymore. It's just that simple. Kind of wants to separate where it should. All right. All right, so we are going to be using these letters to create a word earring. Let's look at what we're doing here. This is what we're creating. So we're going to go earring finding to charm, charm to tassel. We're going to make this tassel ourselves out of chain. So this is one of the supplies that I didn't show you in the beginning. This is rhinestone cup chain. And so these have little 2mm rhinestones. We've been playing with rhinestone cup chain so much in classes lately. We did an awesome New Year's Eve class that used this with UV resin. And so versatile, so fun. And we are going to need to put this together this, which is a special resin tape. Like I said, all of this is available in the jewelry making department from Blue Moon Studio. So I'm going to cut, as soon as I find my scissors, here, cut a piece of this tape. And I have a little piece of paper here. Part of this is just so that you can see what I'm doing. And I'm putting this tape sticky side up on this piece of paper. Now I want to tape it down so it doesn't move. So I have just like Scotch tape here. Taping the tape down to the paper. So the blue tape is sticky side up. And now I want to put down a little, actually, let's cut our chain first. So we want to cut equal lengths of the chain, which you can do with a ruler. And I didn't measure this for you guys, but this is about 3.5 inches to 4 inches. So I'm going to cut mine. You want a really good pair of little snippers and nippers. You can see these ones get really precise. And you want to cut in between each of the rhinestones. There's this little connector piece. That's what you want to cut. Sometimes the easiest way to do it is to lay your chain down and then use your end nippers like this. And so I'm just using one piece to measure the others. I like to keep it simple here. We're going to need 5 pieces. Now this rhinestone chain comes in different colors. We're using clear rhinestones with gold chain because that matches the cowgirl charms that we're going to do. All right, more.
Hey, Stephanie, there's a question asking, is this the same stuff you used around the wine bottle?
Yes, absolutely. Same chain. Yes, that wine bottle was actually a champagne bottle. We did that for our New Year's Eve class. I'll show that. Once I dig that out of my samples here, I'll show you how to do that. All right, so here's our sample. I want to show you where we're going with this. So if I turn this to the back, you'll see all of these pieces of chain are like connected with UV resin. We're going to like paint them together, glue them together with UV resin. And so that's why we need this tape so that we can get them placed perfectly before we add the resin. Actually, I shouldn't say that because we're going to add resin. I'm going to add a very thin layer of resin. And I do this just because it makes it easier. It makes it easier to like get the chain in place when it's sliding on something. I hope that makes sense to you. You'll see in a minute. All right, so I am lining this up right to the edge of my paper, which I know that is curved. Let's see if I can get the curve out of it. There we go. So I'm just going to lay all 5 next to each other, and then we will perfect how they're laying. So having the resin down there makes it easier for me to scooch these around. So then I go in. This is like a trust the process moment. But I go in with my wood stick. First, I want to make sure that each chain is facing the right way. This one wants to lay on its side. There we go. All right. All right, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm lining them up. And it already looks good. And now I just want to perfect it. So I want these to be perfect this way and this way, as best as I can do it. Not worried so much about what's happening down here. And you can see the rhinestones, there's some play because they're on that like bar. So you can kind of move them around. A lot of this is going to be covered by our letters, but still, I want to keep them as neat as possible. So I'm like making sure there's like a standard interval between each rhinestone. Not perfectly, but good enough. And then I don't want a lot of wiggliness. So I want to keep this line as straight as possible. Okay, looks like we got out of square here. Let's fix that up. Okay, moment of truth, because once we put this under the light, this stuff isn't moving. In fact, I'm going to move this extra resin out of the way just to make it really thin right there. Okay, so we're ready to bring in the light. So what this first, we're going to do this in layers. What this first thing is going to do is just going to set them all together. So let's turn that on, put that under there. And then as a second pass, we're going to start adding our letters. This is just going to lock all of that stuff in place. So I want to thank you guys for joining us today. We do these classes usually on Monday afternoons. So I appreciate you joining us on Mondays. Do check out the classes and events page on michaels.com. You'll see all of our new classes are up there. We're usually making jewelry, small accessories, keychains, stuff like that. And we bring you a new class every single time. So you'll find something new to learn each time. I also want to thank everybody that's here. That is a regular. I love you guys. You make my day when I see your names in the list of people that are attending. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me on a Monday afternoon. All right, so that went for a minute. So this is what we have. I'm not going to remove it from here just yet. I'm going to add my letters first. And the first letter is H. We're going to snug that H up right up to the top of this. And I think the best way that you can do this is adding the resin to the letter. You just need a tiny little bit and then setting it down. And again, they don't need to be perfect because we're going to fix it up. Right now, I just want to get a little bit of resin on there. And get that set down. Sorry, is my hand in the way? I try to keep it all together, but it is hard to do this and make sure that you can see what I'm doing. All right, let's see. Let's fix this up. Now, of course, you do not need to write howdy on yours. Maybe you want to write your name or someone else's name, or maybe just one initial. Imagine if this earring was just the letter H for Hannah or Helen. And then you wouldn't need to have it to be so long. And really take your time to get these letters even because, like I said, it's going to just lock into place. Oh, it's cute. Okay, turning that on, locking that into place. Now let's get out some of the other parts that we're going to need. We're going to need the ear wire of your choice, something like this. And we're going to need some jump rings.
Now,
Notice,
Stephanie, while you're doing that, you have a lot of people that enjoy you and thank you for what you do.
oh, you guys are the best. Thank you. This is fun. This is awesomely fun for me. All right, so I'm getting some little findings out that we need. We need an ear wire. We need an eye pin, which we're going to cut. And we need a jump ring. All right, so this is what we have. I love the I love the sparkliness. And it's still not I would say it's still not stiff enough. So I want to remove it from this tape gently. This tape is specially designed to work with resin. So when you first use it, when it's on the roll, it is low tack. But you can see as you work with it, the tackiness increases. So that's why you don't want to start with a high tack tape because it will be difficult for you. Okay. Let me scooch these over a little bit here. All right, so to really make this, Jennifer, ooh, that's exactly what I was thinking. I think I did get a little piece of tape stuck right there. Um, and I'll see if I can remove that. Yeah, it'll just come off with tweezers. So to really lock these in, see, this is still flexible. You could wear it like this, but I think just to really lock it in, I want to add a little more resin on this side, especially up here at the top. I might leave the bottom a little more flexible. Okay. And one more thing before I cure that. I want to cut a piece of my eye pin and set that down in there. And that way we will create a way to hang it. We need a loop at the top. And then we lock it in place.
Stephanie Jennifer said that would be cute as a bracelet as well.
Ooh, that is a great idea because it's flexible enough that it can go over the bracelet. Okay, Rosa, are you listening? Rosa is our wonderful jewelry designer. She makes these projects first. And Jacqueline, that is a question for Felicia. So Felicia, I don't know if you can help Jacqueline, but she designs these things first, and then I get to teach you guys how to make it. So I think that is a fabulous idea for a bracelet class, a custom name bracelet class. Oh, I love it. All right, so that went, how long? Did that go for a minute and I turned it back on? I don't know. I was excited about the bracelet idea. But you can see that is already, and that, so up the top is a little more rigid. I kept it less rigid down here. I think it's okay. You can see I don't know, what is that? The tasseliness. And we have a loop at the top for us to connect it to other things. So those other things are going to be a charm. So we're going to use this little charm here. And you will notice when you buy charms at Michael's, every single charm comes with a jump ring at the top. And I love that because you can just reuse that jump ring. And so this is going to connect here, but to do that, we need to have a loop on this side of that. And so we're going to do that same trick with another eye pin. Let's flip that over. And I want to set that eye pin perpendicular to the top loop. Put a little dab. That was actually a big dab, but that's okay. And then we will have a way to attach that to our Howdy. So we worked with rhinestone cup chain. The other in these techniques, the other chain that could work is a ball chain like this. This works really well in doing these kind of like interesting like techniques. So if you have some of that laying around, that's another good one to practice on. I'm just going to scoot this over. And use my jump ring here. So here's my jump ring. In fact, I think this one's a little big. I'm going to use it. We'll see how it looks. This is about a 5 mm jump ring. So we slide that through our hook and give this a little test. I don't think that's here. This is how I know this isn't quite, that had been under there for 1 minute. See how it's still kind of sticking to my finger? Let's let that go for another minute. And then we'll connect it with that jump ring. And we are, maybe what I'll do is, because I want to make sure we get through both projects, so I'm going to assemble that in a little bit. We'll come back to that. And we are going to switch gears here to our other piece, which is a pendant. And it takes a little bit of time to do because it involves polymer clay. So this thing that I just brought in here is a ceramic tile from the hardware store. And I have a piece of white polymer clay here. Now, I just grabbed that without washing my hands off. White polymer clay will pick up every tiny speck of dirt and glitter that you have on your hands. So before you grab your clay, please wash your hands. And unless you want to embed every cat hair in your house into the clay. So what I'm doing is I'm just working it here. This is called conditioning the clay. This, you're warming it up. You are getting it soft and supple. You can use multiple colors of clay, but you do for this technique want to use a light color. All right, so we're going to set that down onto, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Oh, hello. Okay. And we are going to use some clay tools, some basic clay tools, one of which is an acrylic roller. Sorry guys, I need to get out here we go. And then I have off to the side here a little bowl of cornstarch. Cornstarch is like, use that like flour so that you don't get any sticking. You can put it on your, just like when you're rolling out a pie crust. All right, so we want to go ahead and roll this out. We're looking at between a 2 and 3 millimeter thickness. Okay, and now you want a cutter, a clay cutter like this. I've dipped it into the cornstarch so it won't stick. Cut straight down. Oh, I didn't do that good on the edge here. Let's see, let's do it again. Straight down. When you lift it up, you lift it straight up, not at an angle. Okay, so this is the first step in making that pendant is we need a base for the stuff to go on. This is going to be our base, white polymer clay. Polymer clay goes in the oven. So this goes into a 250-degree oven for 20 minutes, just like this. This whole thing can go into the oven. You don't need to transfer this to a baking sheet. If you do, use parchment paper, but this whole ceramic towel can go into a 250-degree oven at no problem. 20 minutes. And this is what it looks like when it's done. 20 minutes. It is cooled, completely cooled. You can see how flexible it is. And this is exactly what it looks like. You can see like it's not perfect, but again, you can use you can see how quickly that just like knocks off any rough edges with an emery board. Okay, that stuff out of the way. All right, so we want to decorate this like a disco ball. There are a lot of ways to do this. The way that I'm showing you is the one that I think is the easiest way. And it involves kind of like painting a little bit with UV resin. Let me scooch you in here. And you can paint on this with acrylic paint and with UV resin. We're going to do both. The acrylic paint form that I'm using is a paint pen. If you're familiar with Posca pens, these are acrylic paint markers. And so it's the kind, you know, the shaky kind. This is silver. And so I can paint directly on here. And it's going to be, oh, you can see it on camera better than I can see it in person. But I'm painting random rectangles. These are going to be the facets of our disco ball. And the only rules here is I don't want them to touch each other. And I just want them to be completely as randomized as I can make it. And don't forget about the ones that are going to be like on the edge. Okay, so that's kind of the first thing is you can use either acrylic paint, this kind of acrylic paint. Like the cheapy dollar per bottle acrylic paint works great. It's just a little easier if your acrylic paint is in a pen form. So I highly recommend these Posca pens. Okay, so that's sort of like your first pass at these individual disco ball facets. The second pass that we're going to do is, of course, UV resin. So I mixed up some UV resin. Actually, let me use this. So these are the leftovers from the last. And I can paint it on. But I like to paint it on when it is a little thicker. So I'm actually going to use this one. I added a lot more glitter. Do you see how much thicker this is? It just makes it a little easier to control when you're creating all of these rectangles. And you can paint them on with a little toothpick. I use my trusty wood stick. And again, we're adding these randomly, and we just don't want them to touch each other. And this will be another trust the process moment, because as you get more and more facets on here, the more it'll start to look like a disco ball, especially when you start adding the silver facets. I have some more resin over here mixed up. This is just a lighter color of pink. And every once in a while, go ahead and put it under the light. You don't want to do the whole thing and then put it under the light, because chances are you're gonna like get your fingernail in it or mess it up in some way. Or maybe that's just me. I like to do it in stages, because it'll just kind of lock it in and you don't have to worry about it. All right, we're switching gears back to our first piece. We now have our components ready. This is, so we added this. It is fully cured. It's not sticking to my finger. And let's just connect these things really quick to finish the series. So using the jump ring that came with the charm, I'm going to open that up and add the earring finding. And then using the jump ring that I added already, we're going to add this whole piece to our Howdy earring. And you just want to make sure, obviously, that the right sides are facing front. Close that up. There we go. So cute. Somebody please invite me to like a pink cowboy themed party so that I can wear these. Okay, back to here. Disco ball. So you keep adding, you keep adding. We're gonna add some, I'm running out of cups here, so I'm gonna use this. We're gonna add some silver. So I just want to show you how much glitter I add. I mean, it's almost like 1 for 1. Glitter, glitter to resin. And you're just painting it on. I mean, you're trying to get the edges crisp, but it's not fully necessary. It's going to read as a disco ball. You just want to vary the colors and the placement, trying to make them as random as possible. And obviously, I'm hurrying through this. You want to really take your time. Get in there with a toothpick, something like that. Okay, but keep going, and then put that under the light. And eventually, you're going to get to something that looks like this. It'll focus. And I'm not done with this because I want to add a top coat. The top coat will really like make that glitter pop. So do not underestimate the importance of a top coat. So let's do that now. I'm going to turn my light off because it's a little too close to what I'm doing here. So I want to turn that off. Let's add a top coat. Let's start with less than I think I need. I can always add more. And then we're just going to bring it to the edges. Okay. And let's put that under the light and move on. Because this earring, where's our, oh, sorry, this isn't an earring, this is a pendant. So it has a few different components, one of which is a handmade tassel. So creating this tassel, very similar to what we already did, creating that Howdy earring. But let's go through it. Get a littler piece of paper. And same thing that I did before. I just want to set this tape down, stick it down so it doesn't move. Just one edge. And we are going to need a bunch of cut pieces of chain. And we need, I think it's 8. Yes, two 10 rhinestone pieces, 2 9, 2 8, and 2 7. So just like I did before. There's our 2 10s. Nine. And 2 8s. Two sevens. Okay, same thing that we did before. We add a little bit of resin. This just makes things flow a little easier. And I place that right at the edge. Because in this case, we are only gluing down, I guess I can say gluing, the top 2 rhinestones. All right, so here, tweezers come in very handy. I set the 2 10 pieces down. And I put them too far in, so I got the first 3, but that's okay. Let's scoot it to the edge, so only the 2 are on there. And then let's keep adding. Here are 9s. And 8s. Graduating out from the middle. Oh, it wants to flip over. Okay, so trying to keep those top two rhinestones lined up with their friends. And now we just need the sevens on either side. Okay, locking it in. And I'm going to show you what we're going for. Actually, I don't want to move that just yet. Let's let that sit. This is what we're going for. And this by itself, that is an extreme close-up, but this by itself would make a beautiful earring. This technique can be done to make earrings of all different kinds. Glittery, but see how pretty this would be if it was just on just to make it simple, without all the bells and whistles. What we are making though is a pendant, so it has every bell and every whistle. Okay, so this is what we have. And I am gonna take that off. Actually, no, I'm not gonna take that off because the minute I started to do that, I got nervous. Let's just reinforce first before taking it off. So reinforcing it from the front, and then we are going to reinforce from the back. So I'm going to peel this off. We are going to add a jump ring. So let's get that out. And we are wrapping it up here in just a few minutes. I'm going to finish the construction of this. And so if you have any burning questions, please do ask them now. So part of the construction is we need to drill a hole in our disco ball to connect it to things. So I have this little hand drill here, and it goes really fast. Creates a perfect 2 millimeter hole at the top there. And we made our charm. Got a little cow head charm. And that cow head charm is going to sit like this. So I'm going to thread them both onto one jump ring. So I need a kind of a large one. All right, now those are connected. And so your necklace would go through that top jump ring. I'm not going to do that part, but you can see at the bottom we need another hole to connect our tassel. So let's finish our tassel here. Here it is. Oh, I didn't get, oh, one of my end pieces came off because I didn't get enough resin on there. But let's pretend that didn't happen because it still looks cute. And what you would do is I need another jump ring. Actually, you know what? Let's save it. What side did that fall? It fell off of this side. I'm going to just Stick that on the end, and we are going to affix them both together. Make sure. Oh, I'm down here at the bottom of the screen. I want to make sure I get resin on that side, especially. And before I put it under the light, I'm going to add a jump ring at the top. All right, so while that's going, I'm in full rush mode for you guys because we are really right at time. I need to create another hole down here perpendicular to this one, down here at the end. You want to really line that up. Let's go right here. So get it started and then get your finger out of the way because it comes through really quick. So one size bigger. All right, just doing my final little connections here on our pendant. I want to thank you guys for joining. Please do check the Michaels Classes and Events page to check out what's new in classes. And we will be here for the next one, Monday afternoons. Come see me. We can make cute stuff together. And here is our pendant. Cute, cute. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us and lasting until the very end with me. You guys are awesome. We'll see you next week. We have a beautiful, beautiful project for you next week that involves dried flowers. So I'll see you then. Thanks a lot for joining us.